Hey everybody, and welcome to my overview and review of 14 Frantic Minutes. I am a huge fan of real-time games and cooperative games. A couple of my favorites of late have been For Science and Kites. I think those are just fun games and super replayable because they essentially take place in a short amount of time, and that's what 14 Frantic Minutes is. It's aptly named. You will play for 14 minutes and hopefully you will escape this mad scientist who is chasing you throughout this puzzle. Now, these are going to be essentially circuits that you are trying to connect along the way based on challenges. So you set the cards up based on your difficulty level, and the very first time you play, it's suggested to have these 7 rooms that you go through. So all you do is flip over the card and it's going to tell you the status. You want to override and escape through this particular room by connecting the green with the white, or you can see it's a hex and a diamond for colorblind friendliness. And you want to connect it back to that status processing override hub or location. So you flip this over and you start the timer. And this mad scientist is going to move every 2 minutes onto the next card that they are adjacent to. And if they ever are in the room in which you are working, they've caught you. The scientist has caught you and you lose as a group. But fortunately, you are going to get a 2-minute head start because you start the game and you do this room and you're going to find that green and you're going to find that white. Let me show you this even more close up. And once you find that, you're going to connect it back to the nub that shows that status override processing bar. So that's going to be your way out of this room. And these are obstacles. You are not allowed to go through them. But you are going to take your colored polyominoes or polynomials of a color. So if you have 4 players, you've got 4 different sections. In a 1-player game, you simply get access to all of them, and each player will be controlling these pieces. And the fun thing about this when you play multiplayer is that nobody's allowed to touch your pieces unless you're the only one that's allowed to touch them. And so if people need to have you help out in a pinch and they say, oh, Kim, I really need you to grab that little, Z? I need you to grab this Z and put that Z right here. They have to talk to me and communicate to me about it or ask me to move it if it's on the board, and everyone's just kind of putting pieces out on the board trying to connect what is shown in the room all at the same time. Again, you're on the clock. So as a solo player, I have access to all of these pieces, so I'm going to kind of spread them out just a little bit so I can see what's available to me. If you have 3 players, each player gets 1, and then you all collectively can touch the one particular grouping or color that you don't normally have access to. They are also labeled. You'll see here it says A. So again, for that colorblind friendliness, you've got different categorizations aside from just color, which is incredibly helpful. I find that to be wonderful. So I want to connect green to white, and I want to connect it to the edge. So I'm wondering how I'm going to essentially do this. Aha, here it is. So there's only one piece, it looks like, that has this kind of system where you can see that it comes off and branches off 2 ways. So I'm going to have to put that here and connect that way, but then it takes me back to the wall. Let me see if there's anything else that I can use. Aha, here's another one. Let's see if this works. Aha, this works to get me out. Now that problem solving is what this game is all about. Figuring out how can I connect these two. That's really hard because that's in a corner. And very few of these pieces, just 2 that I found so far, even have that capability of getting out of a corner with 2 connections in the same one. So now I'm going to try to find a connection that takes me, oh, there's one, and then I have this piece right here, and I connect it. Now, I can see that those are connected, that goes down here, and that's connected. So once that happens, you turn this card over, and you are going to progress to your next room, taking any bonus pieces that are actually underneath, and you're going to place these bonus pieces here. So I'm going to take this and put it in my display area and say I've got a bypass. You can place this on top of any existing computer chips to make this space usable for any player's circuit piece. So it essentially allows you to cover up one of these spaces that's really blocking you so that you can play over it, because normally you can't. Now is the time, because you're all on the clock, you're moving, take all your pieces off, put this room, and you're going to turn over the next room, and you are going to now do what it says here. You're going to connect red or square with yellow circle back to that status override chip. So you take a look at it, assess the chip, say here's yellow and here's red. Already, we're going to have to put more than just 3 pieces on the board to make this happen. And then, of course, once that 2-minute mark hits, there is a soundtrack that you can download as an app, and you can hear the music and it will tell you how to play, kind of like I remember way back when you had Escape by Queen Games. And you were trying to escape. There was a soundtrack that went with that, and it really created a lot of atmosphere and a lot of fun and a lot of tension based on what you were supposed to do. And then he will march forward on this card, but fortunately that 2-minute mark hit and we were into the second room, so we are not caught just yet. And these cards increasingly get harder and harder, because you'll see that now a level 3 card asks you to connect 3 nodes along with back to that starter status accessing point. And if you look at 4, even harder, you've got these 3, which are a harder 3 combination in general. And then there are even level 5 rooms. Let me show you those level 5 rooms, and you're going to see those. Wow, wow, wow. All of those 3 you have to connect back. Now again, this is happening simultaneously. Everyone is putting out their own puzzle pieces in this real-time 14-minute game, which means it is super replayable. You've got a variety of these room cards or goal cards, and you have a massive, massive, massive amount of these rooms. I mean, there are so many of these. Sorry, you can tell I'm that kind of person. I have to make sure everything is facing, I have to make sure everything is facing the right way. And I'm also one of those people that has to have the tiles facing a rounded side on the top and flat side on the bottom. But in this game, you are allowed to turn tiles over and rotate them and flip them, and it's going to be really important. You might actually need to flip something over in a particular case to make sure that it fits properly, even though it might be on the wrong side for me. It's just one of those tactile things. So tons and tons of replayability here, and I have to say, we played 3 games back to back to back the very first time I played, because we lost the first, well, we won the first time, we lost the second time, then we won the third time. And it was really, really hard to kind of end on that loss. And so we wanted to play again right away and try to win. Because some of the later rooms get really puzzly, and while you might get ahead of the mad scientist, he will slowly catch up to you. Well, he'll catch up to you every 2 minutes. It's by you buy the books. You know when they're marching forward and how far you have to be. And you want to connect that very last room before 14 minutes is up. So it's a fast, fun game. And it reminds me a lot, again, of kites and how much I like kites in that cooperative adventure, where in this case, players are playing all at the same time. You're talking to each other, you're offering suggestions, and it's just fun when you have a handful of brains at the table trying to figure out how to connect these nodes, avoiding the obstacles, and then connecting it properly so that you can advance. And then, of course, taking advantage of these special pieces, because there are other things in there that you can actually get as bonuses. 4-way connectors, which could be really amazing in a pinch. You can deactivate any node on your challenge card to disable it, but you're not allowed to do any of these bonuses on the final room. You have to use all your bonuses before the final room. Then you can also place this as a switcher if you get that particular bonus, changing the color of one of these nodes inside of the room based on where you need to get to, because you're having a hard time figuring out how to make it actually work. Fun, 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 fun. I mean, it's just, again, really great cooperative real-time game. So if you haven't heard of 14 Frantic Minutes and this sounds like it would fit right in with your gaming group, you absolutely need to check it out. Okay, I will see you later, and don't get too frantic.